Hi all, in this video we are going to see about the various the aspects and the relationships in the use case diagram. So in the use case diagram, as we have seen in the last class, we have identified there are certain steps to be followed. So the first thing is identifying the actors and identifying the use cases. Then we need to identify all the various reusing possibilities, and then we can reuse the model use case diagram itself, and then we need to do the system analysis by using the use case narratives. And use case narratives can be brief, could be intermediate, and could be fully developed ones, right? So system analysis use case basically gives you a detailed documentation of the interaction between the system user and the system itself, right? So now comes the first relationship. When you look at the first relationship in the use case model, as you have already seen in the last few classes, say you have a bank customer and you have the bank database, and this is the use case. So these are the actors and this is the use case, right? So you can see that in the use case association relationship, you have an arrow which is actually pointing over to this ATM, right? So that means that you have an actor. This actor initiates or triggers means the actor which actually starts this particular use case is this particular arrow. So when you look at this arrowhead is actually pointing to this use case. So the bank customer triggers the use case login to ATM, and which is actually extending back to this bank database, because when you have to log into the ATM, say you have to check in the backend database that whether this particular person is verified or not, or whatever it is, right? So this is nothing but the association. So this is just a relationship between which shows a complete interaction between an actor and the use case. And then comes the abstract use case. So this basically shows you the importance of object-oriented programming in the concept of object-oriented programming in SAD, or in system analysis and design. So in one of the major concepts or one of the major principles of object-oriented programming itself is abstract use case. So abstraction, right? So abstraction, as you all know, that you are not going to see in detail. You are actually going to make, say if you have a big data set or a paper at your hand, right, you can actually make it as a brief one or an abstract. You can actually create an abstract that tells you what it's all about, right? And but if you want the details, you definitely have to go in and see into the inner details of that, right? So that is nothing but abstract. In the same way, say you can actually incorporate 2 or 3 use cases together and put it as one particular use case. That is nothing but abstract use case. So why do we do that? Yes, we do that because we have to reduce the redundancy, and we can actually increase the reusability. There are so many things. So if ever you have something called the abstract use cases, you will use this uses, or also you can also use includes, because it's part of it. So when you look at it, you have to understand this. So this is your revised postal address, right? When you have to revise postal address, maybe it is because of you have actually made a new postal, so maybe because of that you have to revise, or maybe some postal address changes happen, maybe because of that you will have to revise, or maybe the zip code is changed, so you have to change that. So there could be various cases where you have to actually change this, but I'm incorporating all those stuff into a like revised postal address. So in revised postal address, you have this flexibility of adding as many details as possible, right? So that is nothing but the abstract use cases. So abstract use cases are like simple use cases which is actually composed of many other use cases. So that is nothing but abstract use case, and you will be using the uses relationship. We will see that. And so this is your include relationship. When you look at the include relationship, so when you look at the users relationship, you could see that this is your abstract. So this is your base class. This is your base use case, and this is the child use case. But when you look at this, you have an arrow which comes from here to here. So this uses this one, right? So this is how the uses you will actually depict the uses. But when you look at the include, say checkout, say you have added items onto the Amazon cart, right? Now you have to scan, say you have go to the shop itself, because this example is based on a shop scanning. So you are scanning the item, then you have to calculate the total tax and everything, and then finally you have to do the payment, right? But all these three particular use cases have to be completed in order to make sure that this checkout is complete. So this base use case will be complete only when you complete the sub use cases. That is nothing but include. Okay, and say when you look at this here, say deposit funds, withdraw cash, right? So each of them requires this customer authentication, right? And say paying the supplier. So whenever you buy something in the through the Amazon, in the orders, you have a default invoice which is actually created, so that has to be there, right? So this is something like include operation or relationship. You could say it will be dotted lines, and there is option in enterprise architect to take this include relationship. Now comes the last relationship, which is nothing but the extends relationship. So it's not the last, yes. So extend relationship, it will have an arrowhead, and it basically says that it is optional. I mean, like, consists of the steps extracted from the complex use case. Say you have check customer credit, right? So check customer credit is there. So while checking the customer credit, you have to you can put the customer on hold, right? But it doesn't mean that he cannot go ahead and do anything else. So it is not mandatory. So there is nothing but this. So check customer credit, cancel order. So it's like, it's not mandatory. So I'll tell you an easier example for you to understand. Say while you are actually in the Amazon shopping cart, maybe because of your previous shopping, you have got a lot of discounts or coupons, right? So I'm going to place an order this time. So when I'm going to place an order this time, it is not mandatory for me that I should use those discounts. Maybe I might reserve it for my next time. So that is okay for me, right? So it is extend relationship. So if I want, I could do that. If I didn't want, it's not mandatory. And update the delivery address. So maybe I am using the default address. Maybe I'm not bothered whether to which address it goes. Maybe it's my parents' address who are living in two different areas. So whichever address it goes, I don't mind. So update delivery addresses could be like extend operations. It's not mandatory that you have to do it. There's another thing. Say if you are a person who are not bothered about the quality of the maybe if you are going to the giving to a good customer, yes, you have to check the quality, otherwise you don't have to check the quality. So the checkpoints which you have, or the extension points which you have. So these are all other examples of extend functionality. And then comes this final one. This is nothing but say inheritance functionality. So inheritance functionality, basically it relates to an abstract actor, if you could say if you have an actor. So this is called as an abstract actor. So when you look at the actor, and you could say that, say you can check out the books, or you can apply for special membership, and all the stuff you could do, right? So these are all, so these actors, I could say that they are they are the abstract actors. Okay, so it doesn't have to be actor also. It could be like normal your payment also. Say I mean like your use cases as well. So this is one example which actually talks to you about all the three different relationships. So basically when you look at this one, say you have this payment, you can do the payment either through PayPal or through credit card. So there are two different ways that you could do. So it's kind of an option. So this is like the parent, and these are the children, and you will have a solid arrow here as part of your inheritance relationship, and this is your include relationship, and this is the extend relationship. So if you want to do, it's not mandatory that you have to do it. And this is actually your users, I mean like the association relationship. The arrow has to be there, which is not here. So I'll put the arrow. So when you look at this relationship, this is an association relationship, this is the include relationship, extends relationship, and this is your normal I mean like inheritance relationship, right? So hope you understood about the various relationships here. And so then comes the final one, that is actually your use case narratives, which we have already seen. So in the use case narrative, this looks like a normal use case narrative where you have say you want to create a new order, so you have to write what is the triggering event and everything, actors, the stakeholders, and everyone. Okay, so you could also think about this like a signal that indicates that event has to be initiated, right? And precondition is like the certain things which you have to keep in mind, like what are the things which has to be kept in mind before you start the process, and these are the flow of the events. So it could be a sequence of activities between the actor and the system. And exceptions are nothing but the special cases which you have to consider, and post condition is a condition that must be satisfied after the condition of the use case, maybe because after the execution of your use case you are actually giving these details to another use case, right? So in such scenarios. And yes, that's all we have to see here. And now what we will do is that we will see a small use case narrative as we have seen in the last class, and then we will actually go ahead with the with how to proceed with the enterprise architect diagram. So when you look at a simple case, okay, so this is a simple use case narrative for withdraw money. This we have already seen in the last class. So the use case is actually given, and what is a priority, what is the source. So it could be like anything, it could be an observation, a case study, a project, or a company itself have given. So here it is based on a banking instance itself, and actors are the people who are actually, or the actors are the the figures who are actually part of this process. And stakeholders, normally stakeholders will be called as those who are part of, who actually invest in it, but those who are actually part of the scene itself, I mean like the members who are associated with your whole use case itself could be a stakeholder. So bank customers, the bank itself, the security guard, because an ATM machine will be associated with a security guard. And this is the brief description, if you could see. And there is a precondition which is given, that the card has to be valid, the login case has to be login use case, and the machine has to be working properly, and all those case. And trigger is that the user is ready to withdraw the money, and the ATM shows. So when you look at it, so from where you start, this trigger will basically depends upon from where you start, or from where you start will depend upon where you actually start here in this process. So you have two different actors, one is actor, one is a system response. So this is nothing but your bank ATM. Okay, so this is your bank ATM, and this is your customer, right? So this is basically your customer. So these are the two things. This is the bank customer, right? So these are the two different actors which you could see here. And the customer clicks the screen and displays the menu, and you have all these activities which are actually written step by step. And in that, the main thing which you have to confirm is that say the customer is confirming the account type, so the customer displays the error. So here if the customer is not giving the correct account type, whether it is advance or premium or whatever it is, then there is a higher chance that it is actually going wrong, right? So that is an exceptional case, and we will write it like the account type which you have entered is not correct, right? So that is how you have to actually do the exception conditions. Say if you have say you are putting the amount, so the amount which you put itself is not correct. I mean like say you cannot put like 501 BD or something like, because it has to be in the denominations of say hundreds. So if that is the case, then you will say that the entered amount is incorrect. Then say if then if you are actually checking the balance, while you are checking the balance, there could be different conditions, like there is no money in the bank itself. I mean like in the ATM machine itself, so the machine out with insufficient funds, and you have insufficient balance in your account. So all those are the exceptional conditions which you have to keep in mind. Okay, then you will have the conclusion and the post condition. So maybe it's ready for the next transaction, right? So that's all it is. So maximum amount of withdrawal is 5,000 per day. So all those things are the business rules. So this is how it is. Now we will have a quick look over to how we can actually convert this complete fully developed use case narrative into a ER diagram, that is enterprise architect diagram. Thank you so much. So this is how basically you will write this use case narrative. So once if you have this use case narrative, it is very difficult, it's very easy, it's not difficult for you to actually come out with the enterprise architect diagram. So enterprise architect is basically a software. So it looks like something like this, and this software basically helps you to build proper diagrams like use case diagrams, activity diagrams, sequence diagrams, class diagrams. So all those we could basically build with this diagram. So the diagrams might look like this. So the use case diagrams basically look like this kind of diagrams, where you will actually talk about the include relationship, extend relationship, right, all the say the cancel order item. So while you are actually cancelling the order item, it's not mandatory that you have to actually verify the stock, right? So that verify stock is basically something like, and when you are actually backing the order, I mean like you are cancelling the order, it will come back to your stock. So it is not mandatory that you have to actually verify the I mean like cancel, so verify stock basically. So just like that. And then when you are cancelling the order, adding the order, you have to update. So when you are adding, or so this is kind of a mandatory step, so that's why it is actually include, right? And when you are verifying the credit, till you verify it, you have to put the customer on hold, right? and then till you verify the credit, the cancel order has to be on. I mean, like, you need to wait. I mean, like, it is so these are all the certain things which you will actually act as extend. So that is not mandatory, but include as kind of mandatory. And there is also some kind of relationship, kind of the inheritance relationship, where you have like multiple options. Say you have a parent-child relationship where comes in the picture. So you could say that, say, selection of the account can have primary account, all those stuff, right? And say in this example itself, if you take selection of account type, so verification of the account is actually mandatory, and enter the cash amount. So all the steps are basically mandatory. But when you think about a transaction done in the tray, and you are not worried about whether the person is going to take the cash from the tray or not, so it's kind of an extends condition. Okay, so that is kind of an extends condition. And say print the receipt. Like, if you want to print the receipt, you can do that, otherwise you don't have to, right? So all those things. So after the cash withdrawal, probably you could say that this print the receipt is actually kind of an extends. I mean, like, it does not mandatory that you have to print the receipt. So that options are basically, these are 3 different type of relationship which you have actually seen. So one is the include relationship, and this is your association relationship, which clearly shows that enter cash amount for withdrawal. So this is the trigger of your system. So this is an association relationship, and these are all association relationship, and basically this is the include relationship, this is the inheritance relationship, and these are the extends relationship, right? And so this is how your some of your diagrams, I mean, like, the diagrams look like. And basically you will have I mean, like, withdraw say withdraw amount. This could be your boundary, right? So this is nothing but this color, this box is basically your boundary, and this is your customer, this is your bank information, right? Bank system interface, basically the ATM interface which you actually work with, right? So these are all the various cases which you could see. So now let's start building one particular diagram to see how is the look and feel of this software itself. So for that, the first thing which you have to do is that so this is your enterprise architect. So the key is actually there in the Moodle, so you can actually use the key from the Moodle. So when you are doing it for the first time, so you have to actually apply the key there, and then only you will be able to enter into the first I mean, like, the first section. Okay, so that is something which you have to keep in mind. So we'll just see about how we can actually start working with this kind of so this is the one which you have to basically start with. And so it just takes you through the complete steps of what you have to do each time, and what is your toolbar and all the stuff. It is actually mentioning about how to come out with an actor, how will you actually develop a use case, I mean, like, how will you put a use case, and all this information is basically given. So by this when you follow this particular step, you will be at least able to put a simple system for your database. Okay, so you have your bank customer and the database, and you are just forming a simple diagram here. Okay, you don't have any much of any things here, but later when we do that, we have to form diagrams like critical diagrams with all the different options and everything. So for that, what I will do is that I'll just quickly start with a new project. So I'm going to start with a new project. So it will always ask you to say, I'll just tell trial underscore say I'm also going to do the withdraw only. So withdraw like SRP, I'll just say that. So this is my file. So save the latest changes. So this is a new file. Okay, so a new file is basically created. So whenever you create a new file itself, this model wizard would be opening here. Okay, so this is the wizard where we have to actually take our things from. So I'm just closing it right now, because I'll show you how to open this wizard again. And so this is your whole structure of the enterprise architect, and if you see, there is a window here. So this window basically gives you this project browser. Okay, so project browser, so project browser is this one. So this is your project browser. So when I click on the project browser, basically this project browser will be appearing here, and normally I used to pin this because this is very important for me to see the hierarchy of all my structure which I am using it in the use case diagram, the different diagrams. So if I have multiple diagrams, all those, it's kind of an index, so the complete thing will be actually shown here. So it's very important for me to have this project browser. So normally I used to pin it here, and so this is your window. So here these are the ones which you can, whichever you want, you can actually select it and keep it in this particular whole section. And then comes the toolbar. Okay, so you have a toolbar as well. So before going to the toolbar, in the start, okay, you have the browser, so you have model views. There are different type of this model views sometimes you'll have to use. So you have different kind of things which are actually given over here. So you should be at least knowing like what is there in this particular thing. So after that you have got design. So the design, basically you have this model wizard. So when I click on the model wizard, this is the thing which actually came in the picture when we first opened the enterprise architect. This is what we got. So don't worry if it get closed, okay, because once you get to know that from the design, you can actually get this model wizard anytime. Okay, so no need of any issues or anything. And say this toolbox, okay, if it is closed also, don't get worried, because you have something called this toolbox option here which will help you to open this toolbox. Okay, so model wizard will help you to open the model wizard. Okay, so this is from where you will select which diagram you want to take. Say use case diagram, you will select here and click OK. So then only you will get that space which is required for the use case diagram, right? Say if you are doing the class diagram, you have to select the class diagram and then select OK in order to get the template for the class diagram. So that is what it is basically which you have to think. And then the toolbar. So here by default you will have the use case template here. Okay, and then these are the traceability metrics. So all these things you will get to know later. You have the traceability metrics and gap analysis which you could do, and all those informations are basically here. And then comes the layout. In the layout, it is just about the appearance. So here we are just using the white theme, so nothing much there. And then we do have the publish. So publish is mainly for the document generation and all this stuff. So later if you want to generate your document, you can basically go for this publish option. And you have multiple options like publishing, I'll show you later. I mean, like you can say if you have your complete diagram, then you can actually export it as a document, so that you can actually use it as a PDF file in your for your project and all those stuff. Then you will have this glossary. So once you actually fill your things here, then you will have this glossary which is appearing it. So once we create a diagram, I'll show you how to create the glossary as well. And whenever you click something and open something here, this is the start page. Start page will look like this, and this is the glossary. So you can actually close it here if you don't want. Then you have configure options. Okay, so if you want to connect this with something else, that is actually possible. Then you have construct, code. So these are all the various things. So if you are using the OOD, then this Visual Studio option is very important. Then you can simulate and execute, and so many options are there. So we are not worried about all those options. So here, so let's come back to the design option, because we are going to do it only in a very minimal manner. So we are clicking on the new wizard. We are clicking as use case. So system behavior described with use cases and actors. We are clicking OK. So when you click OK, you could see that now the model name has basically changed to use case model, right? So this has basically changed to use case model. And here you can actually see the various languages which if you want to change it, and this is the default backend server. So say normally if you are using your C the OOD, you will be selecting it as C hash, and your server will be in SQL server. If you are using some other server, you can actually use that. So now, so by default, when you click on the use case model, so this is the use case model which is actually created. So there will be some small description which is given for the user. So who are the users, and well, what is the use case, and this is nothing but a comment. Okay, so you can actually create comments. Okay, you can add comments onto the when you are actually working on the things, you can actually add comments. Okay, so that is nothing but this one. So all this information are basically given here, and then the actor. So as and when you keep developing the actors, all the actors will be generated here, and the first actor which is actually given here is actually user. If you want to change the name, you can actually do it. And so this is how you will create an actor. So when you click on the actor, or when you click on add, okay, so you could see that the user is actually created, and who has actually created it, when you have created it, for at what time. So all this information will be given back to you. And this is the primary use case, and this is the case where we will have our diagram. So this is a default diagram which is actually given to you. So in the default diagram, basically you have only, they have used only one actor, and they have used two different use cases where nothing is mentioned properly. So it's kind of a generic one, right? So as you have, you can see two use cases here. You can also see two use cases here which is developed. So if I add one more use case here, then you know one more use case will be formed here. That's all. So if you want to add one more, then you can simply click and drop here, and you can give the name, like say withdraw money or use case 3, like that. You can give the name, and you can actually use it wherever you want. And if you want to adjust your boundary, you can actually increase that, adjust your boundary. And when you click over here over to the actor, there is something called this arrow. So you can actually click on the arrow, and if you click on association, it will just show you like, okay, an arrow here. That means that this particular use case is basically triggered by this particular user, right? And then say I want one more actor. You can actually take the actor from here, drag and drop it here, and say it is my bank customer. So I will just say bank customer. Okay, and now if I want to connect this to this as a normal association, I can actually connect it, or I could simply use. So use means nothing will come in the picture. And say if I have one more use case, just imagine that I have another use case which actually has to be extending. Okay, so say this is the include operation. So if I want to change something, if I double click, so it is called as extended use case. So I'm just giving the name as extended use case. So whenever you do this, make sure that you are changing all this. So it's a good habit to change everything and keep it ready. So say this is the extended use case. So from the extended use case, I have to actually go back to this base use case. So from here I have to extends. So if I click extends, it will come like this. Okay, so I'll just change the name. So when I have to change the name, I can simply go here and say I'll change it as base use case. Okay, so this is how you will actually create a extend operation. And say this is your checkout or like checkout. So if this is your checkout, then say you wanna create two more use cases, or say one more use case where complete payment. Okay, say I'm just giving it as complete payment process. I'm just simply giving it as all together to now. So complete payment process. So only when you complete payment process, you can actually check out properly. So basically what I could do is that from here, I am actually moving over to here, and I want it as an include, right? So when you look at it, you could understand that. So this is an include operation, which actually, so complete process, then only will be able to complete this checkout itself. So that's the meaning of it. And say I have this as my account. Okay, so just imagine that this is the account or account type. Okay, I'll just give it as account type just for the sake of it. And say if I have two more types for this. Okay, just imagine I have two more types. So I'm just in improving my or increasing my boundary also. So here I will say make it as advance account. So I will give it as advance account. Okay, advance account, and I'm just applying it and clicking OK, and say I have another account which is actually a premium account. Premium account. So say these are the two different accounts which I have for the accounting itself. Okay, click OK. So when you have these two, say account types, you have two different account types here. So this is kind of your parent and this is your children. So what you have to do is that you can actually relate it to here, and you can actually go for this specialization. Sorry, wait. So I'm just deleting that. I'm sorry. So here, so here I'm just touching this, and then I'm changing it here and giving the generalization. So that means that it is what to say, I mean like two different things which will come under this, right? So it's kind of so this is actually an inheritance relationship. By seeing itself, you should be able to understand that it's an inheritance relationship. Okay, so how can I actually create this? So insert new selected. Okay, so this is how basically you will actually create your use case diagram. So this is just a small introduction about how you can actually create this diagram. So once you create your diagram, always make sure to save your diagram. So if you want to see your diagram will be here in the primary use case, and you can see your actor, right? So this is your actor, and these are the actors. So you have actors, like one actor which is actually given. So if you want to generate the other actor, you can actually create the actor here also. I mean like this actor, and you can say that it is bank database itself or something like that, bank database. So these are the two different actors in part of your whole process. And then comes the use case model, and the use case model, you have this complete template which is given there. So add account, advance account, back customers, all this prerequisite things has been added. So that's all about it. So when you now at least you will get an idea about how to create so enterprise architect is very simple. Enterprise architect mainly looks over to whether you know the number of the steps and how it is actually done. That is what it's more important about. Learning the softwares is really simple, but the logic which you actually brings into the picture or onto the plate is very, very important. So that's what you have to actually concentrate. So thank you so much, hope you understood, and if you have any queries or anything like that, you can always get back to me. Thank you so much.